What's up, you guys? We are back. It has been a good minute since I've put like a long video on you guys. Blood Hunt is heating up, and I quite literally cannot wait to talk about this with you guys. So what I'm gonna do, like I did the first one, I did the tie-ins plus the Blood Hunt story. However, I have a lot of thoughts on Blood Hunt number 2 and a lot of fucking thoughts on the 2 or actually 3 tie-ins that had come out. Or is it 4? It's 4. I have a lot to say about these tie-ins that have come out, especially the 2 that came out on the 29th. Because I feel like I'm right. And if you guys remember the things that I was saying, you'll know that I'm probably fucking correct. So these are going to be 2 completely separate videos. I'm going to talk about Blood Hunt on this one, Blood Hunt number 2, and kind of just like give you guys a peek at what I was talking about in the first Blood Hunt. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. If you have seen it and don't remember and don't want to go back and watch it, I'm going to just post those clips in here periodically so that you guys know what I'm talking about. I might kind of just like post them at the end, whichever works, just so that we are all on the same page. And hopefully, because I don't like to predict things, but quite literally, I think I am correct. And I have to talk to you guys about this. So welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. Kaori Knight, and I am here to give you your proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. And today, again, we are talking about Blood Hunt number 2. So, if you guys remember at the end of Blood Hunt 1, or I'll just recap Blood Hunt 1. Blood Hunt 1, we saw the villain and the orchestrator of this entire thing with the sun death, the Dark Force users turning into portals, and vampires coming out of fucking literally everywhere. The orchestrator of all of that, the new leader of the structure, was Blade. And I was hurt by that. My feelings are so hurt. But I did also kind of say that everything happening with that situation is very, very weird. Down to how... You're so rude. Down to how he was talking. We also saw the death of Doctor Strange, and going into the Doctor Strange tie-in, Blade turned Doctor Strange into a vampire. Now, getting into, and we also saw, we lost Thor, we lost Black Panther, and we lost Wanda. And the rest of the Avengers, Sam, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Vision, all Impossible City transported them out of there. Now, we get into Blood Hunt 2, okay? And we start off with the fact that T'Challa is a vampire now. I don't like that situation at all. When we get into the Black Panther tie-in, we can talk about that. But T'Challa is a vampire now, and he is sending T'Challa to Wakanda for something. So, of course, when I get into those, we will talk about that. But T'Challa is actively trying to resist. And I do like that situation because T'Challa's soul is like, he is the champion for Bast. So, it's like, while his body is poisoned, so is the blood of Bast, and that is not good. So he is actively trying to fight the control of Blade, that Blade has over him as his sire. Now, there is also a Dracula Blood Hunt tie-in, and in that tie-in, because, you know, after we talked about this in the first Blood Hunt video, but in that tie-in, Dracula had Brielle followed, and she didn't know that, of course. And we get to where he goes to go save Brielle, and Brielle is getting attacked. Like, of course, this is going to be part of the tie-ins, but Brielle is being attacked specifically. And again, it's weird. Okay, so Dracula and Brielle are now in New York, and they are still fighting the vampires. They just got there, and they are specifically being targeted by vampires because Brielle is there. So they are fighting off vampires. Meanwhile, Tigra and Hunter's Moon are also fighting off vampires when they run into Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Now, y'all remember when I said this to the beginning, when I said I did not like what he had to say to Spider-Man, because he said to Spider-Man, I have a plan and I have something for you to do. I don't like that. I don't like that because what did you do to him? Because he doesn't appear later on at all. Okay. I did not like the idea of Blade talking to Miles Morales on top of a building alone while he is fighting vampires, because they did such a great job teaming up that one time that they were all in New York together was him, Blade, and Brielle. So, I hate that. And I had a feeling in my gut just by the cover for the Miles Morales Spider-Man tie-in that it was not going to be good. So they are actively looking for Doctor Strange. Mind you, Miles is acting mad normal. Like, he's, so he surprised the hell out of Tigra. But he's like, are you all looking for Doctor Strange? And they're like, yeah, we're looking for Doctor Strange. We're literally about to go to him right now. And they all show up at Doctor Strange's house. They get into Doctor Strange's house and they see that Doctor Strange's vampire body is like being handled by Clea. Meanwhile, still in New York, Brielle and Dracula have now run into the Blood Coven. They are specifically there for Brielle. Like, of course, they say, what's up, Dracula? But, like, they're there for Brielle. And Blade actually gave them that order in the beginning of this book. It was to go find her. So they're over there to go get Brielle. And the Avengers show up. I love this fucking get back, because they got jumped. Like, I'm not even, like, in the first one, they got jumped. They were completely surprised, and Captain Marvel even admits it. They were completely surprised by what was going on, because they thought that an ally was coming to talk to them about what the hell was happening, only for them to get jumped and surprised by these vampires with these abilities that they have not run into, and they ended up losing 3 people. The Get Back is interesting because Vision takes out Megrim, which is interesting. I can't really tell if Megrim is actually dead, because he did take Megrim up above the clouds and she like exploded. But, in these comic books, you never fucking know. You know what I'm saying? So at this present time, it looks like they have completely lost Megrim, which is good for them, because Megrim was a problem. All of them are a problem on their own, but Megrim was that big problem. She's like the mind bender. So we get Megrim out of the way. Vision took care of that, and while Vision is up there, he is able to absorb solar energy. So of course he came down there while the Avengers were fighting the Blood Coven. He came down there with all this solar energy that he got from the sun, and then of course Captain Marvel used her Kree blast to blast a hole in the clouds where the sun is shining, because the sun is still up. It's just everything is covered in darkness, and the Blood Coven retreats. They all end up going back to Doctor Strange's house, because we all have to regroup. So they all end up going back to Doctor Strange's house. And while they are there, Brielle sees Miles, and she is very excited because she is, she hasn't been around any of these other people. The only one that she's been around is Miles. So she's very excited to see him, and when she steps closer to him and she's like, oh my god, finally somebody I know, like I can't find my dad, and he is quite literally turning into a vampire and ripping his mask off. Oh my god, my heart was hurting when that happened. And I knew from the cover that he was supposed to be a vampire, but of course, as we all know, Marvel likes to pull an okey doke, a quick one. So it's kind of like, are we sure he's going to be a vampire? And I think the thing here is that he's siring all of these people, and I feel like it's a setup to have his daughter kill him, and I don't like that. That is going to absolutely devastate her, because when they first met in her book, she was so excited and they had an instant bond. I just, their relationship is really so sweet. And I also hate the fact that Miles is the one, like, that is a vampire in her presence, because that was a friend of hers. And as I had said in the video about her, and about that story, I really wanted them to, like, work together. I knew that they were going to be part of the story together. I hate that it's like this, but they're putting Brielle in a really, really tough position, and I do not like that. I do not like that for her. What I do find very interesting is everybody's willingness to work with Dracula, because of the possibility that a lot of this is Dracula's fault. And I'm not saying that he did it on purpose in any way, shape, or form, but it keeps going back to that Blade storyline that came out right before this, where he had to go up against the Adana, and he went to Dracula for help. And Dracula told him, the only way that you're going to be able to do this is if you stop being a man and start being the monster that you are. And he's been resisting that for the longest time, and so he ends up drinking Dracula's blood and becomes increasingly aggressive. Because y'all remember when I said this? In that series, after, like, before he goes to defeat the Adana, they were Tulip and Rotha were very concerned about his just sudden aggressiveness. Again, they didn't know that he had drank Dracula's blood. So Dracula coming to Brielle, I feel like he knew Blade had something to do with this. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot. So how are we feeling about this story? Oh my God. They are putting me on edge here. And that's why I need to do these tie-ins separately. So of course, if you've seen the shorts that are on here, you've kind of just had all of the tie-ins. But this is a lot, and I honestly think that Blade is just in it, and something has happened to him. It's literally in the way that he's talking. It does not sound like him at all. If you go from any of the background story to here, or any time that Blade is talking to anybody, if you find any comic book where Blade is talking, this is not normal Blade. It's not. Which means something has happened between that last Blade issue and now. And it is not good. And it is just, this is a very heavy story. This is very heavy, very bold, but I'm loving it. Where do I see it going? I see us losing Blade for a while. I do. He's siring too many people, too many powerful people. And of course, you know, when you kill the sire, everybody kind of just goes back to normal. So he's siring way too many people. The loss of Thor is kind of a lot. They're actually, when you look into that, when he's talking to Black Panther, they're bleeding Thor. They haven't taken that thing out of his head. They're bleeding Thor so that they can drink his blood. Wanda is quite literally just unconscious on the floor. And T'Challa is a vampire who is about to go into Wakanda. And Wakanda is probably already also a mess because Wakanda is like public access. So this is very intense, and I just see it ending very, very badly on Blade, on Brielle, and on her mom, on her friends. I see this ending very, very badly for everybody. And I don't like that. I do love this story. I think this story is going in a really, really good direction. I think this book was really good. It came with those. It wasn't necessarily a surprise, again, because I saw like the covers for the tie-in. So I saw where Miles Morales is supposed to be a vampire, but then of course it also kind of was a surprise because, again, we all know how Marvel likes to play tricks with people, and sometimes the cover art does not match what's happening in the story. So I was and wasn't surprised to see that he was a vampire. What I was surprised by is the fact that he didn't turn until Brielle got close. He was very, very normal until Brielle got close. So that is very, very interesting too. I hope this story keeps going in an upward motion. All they can do is go up from here. There's no way that you can go down in quality with the story. And if you do, I'm gonna cry. Because this is amazing. The art is amazing. This is well written. You can tell that the characters are about to be in real fucking danger. And again, I loved that get back for the Avengers. And I know some people felt like it happened a little bit too soon, but we only get 5 books out of this main story and everything else is a tie-in. So you have to make things work quickly to move the story along. So I was perfectly fine with it happening now, but I mean, they still have to go up against the rest of the Blood Coven plus Blade plus whatever it is that he is doing. Because again, they punched a hole through T'Challa and then turned him into a vampire. He was impaled by a fist and then turned into a vampire. Currently, right now, they're bleeding Thor for blood, and he still has that thing from Damascene in his forehead, but they can remove that and turn him into a vampire, and we have a vampire fucking god. Like, this can get very, very dangerous. They also have yet to turn, from what I can see, Wanda. So this can get very, very dangerous very, very fast. So them losing McGrim could actually just be potentially more dangerous, because now McGrim is lost, we have to turn Wanda. See what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. While I did love to get back, I think it was bad. I love this story. I'm very excited to see how this continues to go. I'm very excited for these tie-ins, because these tie-ins are doing a lot for me. There's a couple of them that I don't really too much like, but I guess they have to kind of just get more into it, and but we'll talk about that. But that is it for this episode and breakdown. If you guys have not read it, I 100% think you should go onto the Marvel Unlimited app, but I'm also going to link in 2 web links that I use to read comic books online for free, that you can go and you can search these comic books up and you can read them. But I will see you guys in a couple of days for those Blood Hunt tie-ins. So thank you for stopping by the doctor's office.